this race.
Monster run off turn 2.
Can't get it to the high side. Here he comes. There he goes. Oh, no, Kansas saves, and here they come to the line.
I'm a fortune teller who sees the future, and I see it now.
I'm expecting something with Ferrari this weekend, and he ended up at Hendrick somehow.
Oh, God. No, please. Oh, God. I don't like that thought.
Driving to 5.
I can see the goosebumps that just hit Jacob just now.
Carson.
But we're going to go ahead and move on here to our IndyCar segment. Starting off with Kyle Kirkwood winning the Nashville Grand Prix, just catching up on the last couple of weeks. He went ahead and took home the win at the site of the season finale starting in 2024. Chris, your thoughts on the Kyle Kirkwood win at Nashville?
Good for him. He's one that's really coming into his own. You could say this is like his first real... Yeah, he's won before, but they said on the broadcast it's like his first real taste of winning. You know, it's hard to explain, but just good for him. And you can see him coming into his own.
Yeah, he's put together a multi-win season. He's sitting in the top 10 in points. There's a lot to be proud of for that team, you know, and obviously it's been, you know, more up and down to say the least, but definitely I think it was a finish they need. They struggled. They had a couple, you know, rough finishes early on to back up that win, but it's good to see them be able to string together just a multi-win season, and ultimately he's looking pretty good for finishing in the top 10, barring anything crazy over the next, you know, 3 weeks.
I think he's the only Andretti driver to win. It's either him or one other driver.
I believe it's him.
Which is crazy to think of because you think about Andretti being the team. The big three, Penske, Ganassi, and Andretti.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little bit weird, but I feel like that Alex Palou and Joseph Newgarden back and forth domination has been a little bit too much sometimes, to say the least.
Still more interesting in F1 right now.
Oh, absolutely. Not going to deny that whatsoever. Definitely a lot more interesting than F1. And obviously the race was at Nashville. I said it, that will serve as the season finale starting in 2024. Is that something you're okay with, Chris, or does that kind of make you mad a little bit?
I mean, I'd rather see it at Laguna Seca because it's kind of become traditional. But, I mean, I guess it's okay. Just seems like a random track to end it with, you know, instead of something established like Laguna Seca or Watkins Glen or a place like that.
Right. I'm not... I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it being on a street course. You know?
I'm not either.
I feel like it's better off on, just like you said, just an established racetrack. I feel like with the street courses, it's just too, you know, it's
generic.
Obviously it's road course style racing, but it's a specific style of road course style racing.
It's its own discipline.
Exactly, and I think that there's a lot more unexpected things that happen on a street course compared to, you know, going to like Watkins Glen or something like that. Like, I think there's more accidentally running into the wall. Things are tighter. There's less passing, right? And like, you want your championship race to be filled with passing. You want it to be you want your championship race to be one of the most entertaining races of the entire year. And putting it on a street course race. Yeah. Put it on a street course race, I feel like you are now rolling the dice, flipping heads or tails. It's 50-50 whether or not this finale sucks or whether it's actually good. Like, you're flipping it. And if it's good, why is it good? Because it was crazy? Like, I don't know. Can't get behind
street courses, with the exception of a few, like Long Beach, for example, always puts on a good show.
Chicago!
There's, with the exception of a few, only two things happen. You're going to have chaos, or it's just going to be completely boring.
So yeah, congratulations, IndyCar. You're welcoming chaos or boringness to your season finale. And if it's chaos, you better hope it doesn't destroy somebody's championship run, because God knows how people are going to react if something bad happens to the top championship contender and they lose it, and it's something stupid. I just feel like it's asking for problems at that point. You're just asking for problems putting this race in Nashville.
I can just see it too ending up in the championship leader ending up in some traffic jam with a bunch of lap cars and mess up his front wing.
Yeah, this is IndyCar's way of trying to replicate NASCAR's ability to produce drama. Because NASCAR forces drama.
Playoffs.
NASCAR forces drama all the time. Like, this is IndyCar's answer to that. They're like, oh, we're gonna put the finale on a hectic track, and we know something's happening to our championship contender. We just know it's gonna happen. Like, that's exactly what they were like. If something happens to him, most entertaining race of the year, because he's got to come from behind. And I'm gonna be like, well, not necessarily. Okay, I'm just. As you can tell, I'm not a fan of Nashville being the finale. I think it was fine where it was. I don't know why we're moving it to the finale. I feel like it's premature. I don't get it.
Why not have it in Florida? Because that's where the season starts, St. Petersburg. Why not have it as track in Florida like Homestead? Like NASCAR used to do. It was kind of a return where he started, sort of thing. Is poetic almost.
Mm-hmm. I think that would definitely be something that they could look into. I mean, it would probably be more entertaining than what we're going to get with Nashville as the finale, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. But
we're not very humble about our opinions.
No, to say the least.
Especially you and Austin Dillon.
Not even going to get into it with him right now.
At least not yet.
No, not yet. But Helio Castroneves will step away from full-time racing after this season. He will race at Indy next year, so I think it's important to note he's just stepping away from full-time racing. He's not fully retiring. But Chris, what are your thoughts here? The seat is going to get filled by Tom Blomqvist next year.
He's a very good driver. I think he's... it's been, I think, 10 years since a British driver has won a race.
Jeez.
Which is hard to believe, considering all the great British drivers have been going through the sport. And I think he's probably is a contender to break that drought with British drivers. And if you look at a sports car record, he's a very good sports car driver. And just overall, I think he'll do pretty well.
Absolutely.
And the thing about Elio, I think he'll have another full-time seat. I don't think it'll be next year, but I think it'll be the year after. He ain't just going to quit.
So this isn't a permanent step away, you think?
I don't think so. Because he doesn't want to retire, for one thing.
No, he wants to keep winning races.
And sad part is he hasn't won a race since the Indianapolis 500 those years ago. But he's not. I don't think he's going to fully retire. I can see him racing in, say, NASCAR at 50.
Oh, absolutely. He's been doing some of the SRX stuff. I know he has a lot of fun doing the SRX stuff. I mean, that's like one of his top things that he enjoys. So
he'll go into NASCAR, try NASCAR at some point?
Hey, if the rumors are true that NASCAR is going back to the Indianapolis Oval, I could see him trying to run a race there. He is a 4-time Indianapolis 500 winner. I imagine he'd want to do at least one race on the oval with the stock cars to see what he's got. I wouldn't blame him either. But I expect that, at least especially when it comes to Indy, I mean, even if he can't find that full-time ride, he's always going to have a home at the Indy 500. Someone's going to be able to find a seat for him because somebody's going to want to be that team that grants him his 5th if he ever gets it.
Yeah, Even if it's a backmarker team, especially if it's a backmarker
Especially
team.
if it's backmarker team. It's an opportunity for them. It could change everything about what they know and what they do about their program.
And two, even if they don't win it, they got a big name driver driving for them for at least one race.
And that's a thing where it's you learn a lot. I mean, we've seen how certain companies, like 23XI have improved from the addition of Kurt Busch. Like those older veterans are going to be able to help you in certain ways. That might be able to help a smaller team improve even more. Putting Helio Castroneves in the seat, he's going to be able to give you a lot of info that maybe some of those younger guys that you're bringing up can't.
Yeah, and I'm surprised Tony Kanaan has completely shut it down for the Indy 500, considering he still races too around SRX. You think he'll end up in NASCAR trying a NASCAR race?
I think I think it's definitely possible. Honestly, I don't rule anybody out when it comes to the with Project 91 and everything like that. It's hard to rule anybody out, and especially guys that are running in the SRX because they're getting that oval experience, and it's more so like SVG obviously had it was difficult this weekend. He still finished top 10, but it's more difficult this weekend.
Which is impressive.
Oh, it's very impressive, but it was more difficult this weekend because the drivers, they knew the track and stuff like that. So I totally just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
We were talking about drivers that aren't NASCAR drivers coming up and trying NASCAR.
Oh yeah, with the addition of Project 91, it's hard for me to be able to see anybody not coming in and at least trying one race. I feel like especially like those SRX drivers where they've now had that oval experience. SVG this past weekend was running on no oval experience and was able to get a top 10. So I think having that little bit of oval experience with SRX is just more so going to help them, and it's going to give them confidence because I mean we've seen Kanaan run pretty decent in the SRX series. That maybe adds confidence to him. Maybe we see some of these guys, and maybe that's the sign. Maybe we figure that out. Maybe that's the sign. If they're in the SRX, maybe they're like, what's these stock cars like? Like what's it like going in on an oval, and running it consistently, like every week? Like what's that like? So there's that opportunity, and with so many road course races added, like I said, you can't rule anybody out at this point. There's anybody out when it comes to the trying to go into NASCAR because now that we have Project 91, those opportunities are much greater. You've got 7 road course races. There's 7 opportunities for somebody to come in if they want to do a one-off race. And if you want to do it full time, you've got plenty of opportunities as well. I think having the SRX series added in, that only helps that case for some of those drivers even more because for drivers like Helio Castroneves, Tony Kanaan, they're able to get that experience on the ovals and SRX and then take that experience over into the Cup Series versus what SVG's having to do, which is he's going to have to learn ovals all on his own. He finished top 20 at IRP this weekend in the Truck Series because he's having to learn everything on his own for all the ovals and everything. So he's learning, he's adapting, but he doesn't have that SRX experience that's backed up behind him. I think having that little bit of extra experience might be able to help the IndyCar drivers. It helps them build confidence in what they can do in a stock car, and that may translate, and they may say, you know what, let's go give it a shot. And I definitely could see Elio, giving a shot at NASCAR at the Brickyard 400 if they bring that back. Like there's plenty of opportunities there for any of these guys to step in and have a shot. And I would love to see it happen, but I'm not going to rule anybody out with the way that the sport's gone over the last few years.
And too, this new car, it's a lot like a sports car in certain ways, and I think that's attracting some drivers in it too.
That might have been why, and we talked about it when Chicago came around, it being designed a little bit like a sports car, like the V8 supercars that SVG drives definitely helped him. He finished top 10 in Indianapolis road course yesterday, which is really, really good for his second race. I thought maybe he could go 2 for 2, didn't quite happen, but hey, we'll get to that a little bit later. Now, moving ahead.
I got some rants about that too, so stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll get to the NASCAR segment here soon, but we're going to go ahead and move on. Obviously, the Indy Grand Prix this weekend. Scott Dixon with a huge win this weekend puts him second in the point standings, hopping up Chip Ganassi versus McLaren. What a weekend we had over at the Indy Grand Prix. Chris, go ahead and lay out your thoughts from the Indy Grand Prix.
I have mixed feelings about it because I really wanted to see Graham Rahal win. I really did. But at the same time, I'm glad that Scott Dixon keeps his record going of 18 straight seasons with a win, something like that.
The Kyle Busch of the IndyCar series.
So, well, don't need to insult him like that.
I didn't mean it like that. I just meant that they've got the same record.
Don't take this seriously, Kyle Busch, if you're listening to this, which I'd be amazed if you are. It's just a joke. Please come on our show, Kyle Busch. But anyways, yeah, I believe I'm glad that he kept the streak going. But man, I felt terrible for Graham Rahal. I really wanted to see him win so badly because it's been 6 years of bad luck.
When he led 36 laps, he definitely had a chance, just couldn't get it done. Pato Award also with a nice podium finish there, and definitely not the day that I want to bring it up. Definitely not the day that I think Joseph Newgarden was looking to have. Pretty much, I don't want to say took himself out of championship contention, but he made it any chance he had much harder at this point.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault either, which makes it worse. He just kind of got caught up.
Yeah,
which you could blame his spotter for that. Because I feel like he should have saw that he had enough time to react to that, because he kind of just drove into what was it, Grosjean?
I think it was Grosjean. Yeah, I could be wrong.
Well, he drove into somebody, and I feel like he had enough time to react to that, and I feel like his spotter should have said something.
Yeah, it definitely could have been on the spotter, but I mean, either way, no matter who it's on, he's not in great shape heading into the final 3 races of the year. We were talking about it. What could Newgarden do? As opposed to Alex Palou coming into these final few races, and I said he's going to have to finish almost podium every single time to really keep pace with where Palou is. And Palou didn't have a great day yesterday. He earned the second fewest points he's earned pretty much all year. Only 26 points yesterday.
Only
26 points. I mean, that's how good Alex Palou's been this year, but only 26 points yesterday. And, what I think about is Scott Dixon, 51 points, and then Joseph Newgarden, 5. Imagine Newgarden has the day that Scott Dixon had yesterday. This is a much different, race to the finish at that point. But right now, we're seeing Scott Dixon now 4 points ahead of Joseph Newgarden. But the big story, Alex Palou, 101-point lead over Scott Dixon with just 3 races remaining. Where do you see this championship battle going into the final 3 races?
I think I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll go into the last race of the season. It'll be a long shot for Joseph Newgarden, but obviously I believe Palou's going to pull it out. But I think Newgarden will make a strong comeback.
I think he can make a push. I think there's no more oval races, is there?
Yeah,
one more?
There
one
is.
More.
Next
one
week,
more.
I believe.
Yeah, St. Louis is next week. That'll be the final oval race. So that'll be an opportunity for him to really try and catch up. But Alex Palou, I think the mission right now for Alex Palou is very simple. Just have he doesn't need to have an eventful weekend. An uneventful weekend is perfect for him because it means he probably finished top 10 and kept his nose clean and keeps his lead. I mean, he's at a point, just bring the car home and don't let just finish well. Like there's pressure, but I feel like what he has to do is very simple. You know what I mean? It's not like it's cut and dry what Alex Palou has to do to get to these final few races.
He probably would be fine just finishing in the top 15 for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. He just has to finish well, and I mean, we'll see if Newgarden's been the oval man this year. So who knows what can happen? And I've talked about it before. Palou hasn't gotten, some of those lower point totals have been on ovals for Palou. So maybe there's a chance that we see something, close in with Newgarden. But, Scott Dixon's kind of thrown his hat into the ring now with this win. He's been solid. He's been earning a lot of points. We just haven't been able to see him cross the finish line first just yet. He finally got that done. Does that translate the next few weeks? Does he suddenly light on fire and, and start winning a few more races.
Could be the ketchup bottle theory.
Yeah.
Meaning, once it takes a bit to get it out, get the ketchup out, but once it's out, it really comes out.
Yeah. Could be the case. And so now, I think with Dixon's hat now being in the ring and this basically being a 3-car race, it's going to be interesting. But like I said, Alex Palou's lead is nice enough that if he just keeps it clean and has some uneventful weekends coming up, he's going to be just fine.
Speaking of Palou, did you see his rating on F1 Manager?
I heard it was pretty bad. I heard you ranting about it in the group chat.
I think it's 74, which that's just downright dirty.
Yeah.
He should be better than Piastri. I get that because
one
of
is in
balance
F1 and
reasons.
one is not, though.
I get it's because of balance reasons, but Piastri's good enough to be, at the very least, an average F1 driver.
Oh yeah, but I'm sure like
Piastri Palou.
I'm sure there's somewhere like in the contracts that the drivers sign in order to give their likeness that like it would be like a cardinal sin for the F1 game to then put one of their own F1 drivers lower rated than a driver not even sanctioned in the series. So,
I know. But it still feels wrong. They really did him dirty.
the question will be what his development status is, because if like some of those drivers develop really, really well, really quickly in those games, so maybe they made it so his overall is lower, but he develops quick. Maybe like after one season he's an 84. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's one of those quick developers that, who knows? That could be the case. That's how that would probably be how they would work around that. If that's like if they wanted to go with that route,
Yeah. Have you played F1 Manager?
I haven't. I've seen videos for it. I'd want to get it, but unfortunately it doesn't run on my PC, so I'd have to get it for my Xbox, but I just have too many other games I've been playing. So I watch videos on it, but I haven't actually played it, but I've heard it's good.
Do you know how? So the way the development works is pretty much you get every driver kind of gets a multiplier that correlates with their age. For example, Pierre Gasly, I believe he's 26. This is last year's game, by the way. This year they do it a little bit different, but he's 26 and his XP multiplier is times 0.04, I think. And that's the multiplier his XP gets for every week. And of course you get a boost with every race. And the better they do, the more XP you get. And then you go through levels, kind of like an RPG almost, role-playing game. And you then pick the attribute that you want to, update through his thing.
Okay. See, maybe, I don't know then. That's just wrong then.
It really is. And do you watch Benjamin Daly's YouTube channel, Tietz and Marduk? I never know how to say his name right, but pretty much he's doing his McLaren playthrough right now on F1 Manager 23. And he's like, yeah, we need to get a good reserve driver. I'm thinking, and he's completely disrespecting Alex Palou, man. I mean, he is good enough to be at the very least an average F1 driver.
I could see him finishing, 10th, 11th, 12th.
I think he would finish in, say, between 5th and 10th. A strong points finisher every race. Maybe a win.
Fair enough. F1 Manager did him absolutely dirty. But going back to it, he's up 101 points going into the next race, which is going to be Gateway. That's going to be the weekend of August 25th through the 27th, same weekend as the Netherlands. So both F1 and IndyCar are going to be off next weekend, leaving just NASCAR
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this most recent edition of the Outside Line podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure to check us out on Spotify at The Outside Line. And if you liked Christopher, Jacob, and I's opinions, make sure to check us out on Backsports page for more articles and opinions about F1, NASCAR, and IndyCar. Thank you again for watching The Outside Line.